There's now a new medical clinic, and it's called Ambrosia. It's named after the food of the Greek gods who achieved immortality. All right. So what's their goal? Why am I telling you about these guys? Their goal is to measure the effect of young plasma, the blood of human youth, ages 16 to 25, on older people. Listen to what I just said, right? That they can take blood from young people and somehow insert it into older people, and that's going to make the older people more healthy. They say that the blood of the young can, in effect, make you younger. If true, this is huge, right? So is it? Does it work? A million questions. I know you have them. I have them too. That's why we've assigned this story to our own intrepid NRS correspondent, Michelle Greenstein, who's good enough to join us now to try and make sense of this thing. Okay, what is it? Does it work?
Right.
You know the drill. What are we talking about here?
So the founder and CEO of Ambrosia was inspired by this research at Stanford University led by Tony Whisk-Coray. This is where they found that the blood of young mice actually reverse some cognitive and neurological impairments seen in old ones. So they would solder two mice together, and the old mice that were joined to the new ones saw increased neuroplasticity, increased ability to memorize things. They actually saw changes in gene activity.
What makes them think they actually can reverse the aging process?
Right, so they actually, you mean in humans?
Right.
So they actually did the same thing in humans. They took umbilical cord plasma and plasma from human youth and injected it into mice as well.
But wait a
and
minute,
they saw,
wait, hold on,
Yeah.
time out. There's a
Kinda
difference,
crazy.
isn't there a difference between the genome of a mouse and a human being?
So they say that they saw similarities by taking the blood of humans and injecting it into mice and seeing the same effects that they saw when they took youth blood from mice. They say that there are so many similarities. Here's what Whisk-Coray had to say about his findings.
This suggests there are factors in the blood of young organisms, including humans, that can rejuvenate an old brain and make it work more like a younger one.
Did I read something about this having possibly an effect on Alzheimer's, that it can actually reverse that?
Right, so it affects the hippocampus, which is the area that starts to degenerate when people are afflicted with Alzheimer's. I actually asked Tony Whisk-Coray if that was a fair representation of his findings. He said yes, that's very reasonable. But what Ambrosia is doing is they're saying it's not just about memory, it's about the anti-aging process as a whole. They're claiming that they can reverse that totally. Here's what Whisk-Coray had to say about Ambrosia. This is what he told Science magazine.
There's just no clinical evidence that the treatment will be beneficial, and you're basically abusing people's trust and the public excitement around this.
Is there public excitement? Because I would think that a lot
of
of people... No, no, of course there's public excitement, but I'm asking, a lot of people would wonder if this is a little bit scary, that we're getting into a realm here that might be a little, maybe... questionable?
Right. Well, the main question now is it true? Like, can we really reverse the aging process? Because if true, I mean, who wouldn't want to get their hands on that? Ambrosia is charging $8,000 to do it, though. But I spoke to the founder and CEO of Ambrosia. Here's what he had to say to me today.
I think we all are familiar with the hallmarks of aging. You know, it's a little more difficult to have energy, to have athletic abilities, to remember things. Our skin starts to deteriorate in quality. So all of these facets of aging seem to seem to improve with plasma therapy. Many patients have reported in our clinical trial and after treatment, which has been performed in an outpatient setting, increased physical abilities and stamina. So patients who enjoy lifting weights or biking have found that they're able to do so more and longer.
All right, so bottom line, what percentage of the experts are saying this stuff works?
Most say that there's no clinical evidence, but of course, Jesse says that it does. He does have a buck to gain, though, so we'll have to see.
He's got a dog in the fight.
A huge
one. Good job, as usual.
Scientists may have found a real fountain of youth, one that can repair aging brains in plasma from young blood.
At Blood Centers of the Pacific, 22-year-old Matthew Ryan is donating plasma, a critical component of blood.
I've always liked to help people.
The pale yellow fluid can help save the lives of patients suffering from burns, shock, or trauma. For one thing, plasma
contains all of the antibodies that you have to fight infections.
But now scientists believe this fluid may contain something far more spectacular.
Think fountain of youth, but with a twist. What's flowing through the veins of young people may help restore old aging brains.
Neuroscientist Carolee Nikolic.
The very first reaction, I think in all of us, was skepticism.
Nikolic heads up Alkahest, a biotech company in San Carlos. He says plasma contains thousands of proteins that do different jobs. But when his colleagues analyzed plasma samples donated by the young and old alike, they were astonished.
We have actually now for the first time discovered that there are hundreds of proteins that change with aging.
Young plasma is awash in special proteins that rejuvenate tissues. But as we age, they're replaced by damaging inflammatory ones. So the scientists did a simple experiment with some very old mice. We've sped up the video for time. In a special maze that measures learning and memory, old mice have a tough time remembering how to get out. They're stuck exploring dead ends and making lots of navigational errors. But when injected with young human plasma, these old mice head directly to the exit without making a mistake. Not only that, their brains have changed.
It's pretty dramatic.
Those green dots? Newborn neurons, freshly sprouted in a part of the brain critical for memory and learning.
We do our treatment, we see a doubling of that.
At Stanford University, Alkahest has now launched the first controlled clinical study of young plasma in humans. It involves 18 people with mild or moderate Alzheimer's disease.
The final results will come at the end of the year.
If the trial proves safe, then a second study with more patients and a bigger dose. If the treatment eventually proves successful, the hope, by growing healthy new neurons, the brain may clear itself.
We are reducing this inflammatory process in the brain.
As for Matthew, he knows people with Alzheimer's and wants to help.
I think it'll be pretty incredible to say that my plasma could, or anyone else's plasma for that matter, can help them to make somewhat of a recovery.
In San Carlos, Juliette Goodrich, KPIX 5.
The number of people living with Alzheimer's disease is growing fast. If this treatment works, scientists plan on identifying and then manufacturing the critical proteins that offer the greatest benefit.